long ago, doctors thought depression couldn't even happen to teens. And if they exhibited any signs of depression, they were simply dismissed as being moody and irritable. But as many teens, and used to be teens like myself, can attest, depression in your younger years is a very real thing. The first thing you should know about teen depression is that it's probably more common than you think. Teenage depression is a mental and emotional disorder that leads to symptoms such as prolonged sadness, loss of interest in activities, lowered self-worth, and feelings of discouragement. According to the National Institutes of Health, rates of adolescent depression peak around age 16. By 18, around 11% of kids have been diagnosed with clinical depression. And just to put it in even more perspective, 1 in 5 kids in the US has experienced at least one bout of depression. Fact number 2, teenage girls are twice as likely to experience depression. According to the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Administration, between ages 12 and 15, depression rates triple among girls. Doctors still aren't entirely sure what's to blame for such a steep increase, but it probably has to do with a mix of hormonal changes brought on by puberty as well as peer pressure. And speaking of at-risk populations for teenage depression, LGBT youth are twice as likely to experience depression compared to straight teens and are 3 times as likely to have a history of suicidality. Bullying is often cited as a primary cause of that escalated rate of depression among lesbian, gay, transgender, and bisexual teenagers. A 2013 study found that 14% of 8th graders were bullied in school for either being gay or being suspected of being gay. Even more alarming is that a 2009 study from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention found that out of 7,000 LGBT middle and high school students, 8 out of 10 were verbally harassed by classmates, and 4 out of 10 were physically harassed. Whether we're talking about boys, girls, gay, straight, transgender, what's important for parents and teachers to recognize in particular is that teenage depression can look a bit different than adult depression. Specifically, hallmarks of teenage depression include things like irritability as opposed to outright sadness, or complaints of physical aches and pains, as well as extreme sensitivity to criticism, particularly for teens who tend to be overachievers, as well as social withdrawal, but not complete social isolation. If you or someone you know is a teenager battling depression, the 5th and perhaps most important fact to know is that it can get better. Cognitive behavioral therapy, or talk therapy, sometimes paired with antidepressant medication, is the typical professional treatment for prolonged bouts of depression in teenagers. If those kinds of resources aren't accessible for you, even just talking about it to a friend or family member can help alleviate those initial symptoms of depression. A recent study among high schoolers found that even just understanding and believing that life can change and get better has an insulating effect from depression during those crucial teen years. While that might sound like a naively optimistic mantra to cling on to, I can tell you from personal experience, from being a used to be depressed teenager, that yes, life can change and for the better. And also, all of that cheesy stuff about exercising and treating your body right and eating well and feeding your creativity and talking to people about what's going on inside of your head, yeah, all of that stuff makes a huge difference too, and that kind of stuff, I've only figured that out in the past few years. As far as that talking to people goes, if you need an ear, I'm here. I didn't mean to make that rhyme. You can always message me, you can email me, you can tweet me, you can Facebook me. In the meantime, be good to yourself and be good to others too.